national competition last week, and he featured in the Grand Prix with this horse and finished 11th. So, you know, it's on quite good form. You could hear him just saying, whoa, as he came through that combination. And really just driving forward round to the Oxer, but then you've got to sit up as you come down towards this skinny upright at fence number 6. Slightly deep, touched the back bar. Everything's still up at the moment though. Real nice horse, you can see just keeps that rhythm all the way around. Time allowed here in round 1, 78 seconds. So they've got to be travelling at 375 metres a minute quite consistently all the way around. You see, just landed a little bit long after the treble bar, so then he sat up, used that upper body, comes down to the last, and there's our first clear here in round number 1. So we've got the first clear. It is a jump-off format here, so we're going to be looking for that second one to guarantee a jump-off, but you can see just how happy he is as he crosses the finish line. Huge big pats for that horse as well. You can see those characteristics from the Shaco Blue horse. Really clean through the front, great personality. 75.56, the confirmed time there. So inside that time allowed is 78 seconds. So I think time will be part of the test, but it's not overly tight here. They do have a little bit of room to think. So 2 gone and 1 clear at this stage. Plenty of talent still to feature, plenty of nations here as well. Simon Nazeri comes forward next. Diamor from Second Life Z, the 10-year-old mare by Dament Desemeli, represents Israel. Simon's had some great horses over the years, a former World Cup finalist, of course. That was a few years ago, back in 1996, but he was jumping here with a couple of horses last week. He's got Clara P here, Finfer and Z as well. But let's see what he makes of this course here this afternoon. Will he be the one that guarantees a jump off? Let's find out. He's just awaiting the bell from the jury. Then, of course, that 45-second countdown will start. And if you are new to the sport, if that 45-second countdown expires, then the clock just starts counting up. And they've got to be home within the time allowed of 78 seconds, so that's when that would start to have a little bit of an effect. But you'll see most of the riders here will probably only take 20 or 25 seconds before they actually cross the start line and jump that first fence. But he's well underway now. And that's just a nice normal 7-stride distance down there. I think our course designer, you know, is a real artist, and you can see that, you know, from 3 round to the triple combination at 4, and then looping back round to 5. So as soon as you land, or before, you know, you're already thinking about that next question. Powerful oxer, then sit up, get balanced, think about this really delicate style, then you need a little bit of power as you come down to quite a square oxer. Nicely through the double. Well, Simon represents Israel. He used to live in California, but now based here in Mexico. And this is a horse that the USA's Kelly Rose jumped the last couple of years. Simon jumped it internationally for the first time in September last year. 78.20 is where the clock stopped, and you can see even from the start, you know, he kept that nice balanced rhythm, produced a really nice round, but does pick up that frustrating time fault, just a couple of tenths over the time allowed. So finishes on 1. But a lot of top sport still to come as the week continues. Of course, we've got the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier here on Saturday, so Perhaps he's just keeping that in the back of his mind as well, wanting to leave plenty of fuel in the tank for that one. 3 combinations gone so far, 1 clear. Andre Torres Hernandez, our only clear at this stage of play. I'm sure we're going to see a nice handful going through. Jennifer Tay comes forward next, represents Peru with Motivo La Silla, the 10-year-old gelding. Another rider that brings quite a nice experience to this competition. She's ridden at the Pan American Games in the past, and this is a horse that she jumped here last week and put in some real good performances, jumped some nice clear rounds. Let's hope that run of form can continue here this afternoon. To have so many of you watching on Facebook as well. Sandra Day says hello. Colin Thompson saying good luck. Jordan Coyle, the only representative for Ireland. We'll see Jordan a bit later. Anna Ringborn watching from Sweden. Diane Norton, I think you get the prize for being furthest away watching in New Zealand. That was a real shame for Jennifer, just touching that front rail there. Betty Dunbar watching in Canada. To Holly is in Florida, which I think might be a bit wet today. That's what I heard anyway, Gloria. I think the weather in Florida is not as good as ours. Here we come down towards this last fence, and you can see Jennifer just put a bit of pressure on to try and be a fast time, but 78.98, she is going to pick up that time fault. She really picked up the pace towards the second half of the course. Takes the 1 rail down, time fault as well, so a total of 5 there for Jennifer and Motivo La Silla. So 4 combinations gone so far, 1 clear at this stage.
In the ring, number 5, riding for Mexico.
Plenty of talent still to come. So really scopy over that final fence. Still looking for that second clear then to guarantee a jump off. Alberto Sanchez Cozar, Union de la Nutria, coming forward next. The horse has been going really well for him, and what a great string he's got as well. Of course, many of you will know WAP has been jumping at the top level, but this is a combination that were 12th in the Grand Prix here last week, had a real run of success. It's an 11-year-old by Diamant de Semele. Of course, Alberto Sanchez Cozar represents Mexico. Gymnastic question, that line, as they come across the short side, but you know, all our athletes so far have handled it really well. This is a line I thought might catch a couple. This goes a little bit wide there. You can see him just jumping towards the right, but straightens up down that distance. Alberto Sanchez Cozar has been on the circuit for many years. He used to ride for Spain and now for Mexico after he got married, and now based here. Part of the team that took the gold medal in Colombia at the Central American Games. See him just coming slightly long as he came down there. That was a shame. And 75.48, so we know he could have taken a little check as he came down that distance. Still would have been okay for time, but that 1 rail coming down, and it is 4 faults for Alberto Sanchez Cozar. Finishes on 4, 75.48 here in round number 1. Just drifted right slightly through there, thinking about that right-handed turn. You see him just fighting there and just catches that upright.
En la pista, con el número 7 de México, Antonio Maurer. Perdón, en la pista, con el número 6 de México.
So we've got the 1 clear, then we've got Simon Naziri on 1 time fault, then Alberto Sanchez Cozar ranks 3rd on 4. That's how things look at this stage. Miguel Angel Torres Hernandez. Next for Mexico, Shakindera. He's been involved with the sport for so many years. He went to the Young Rider Championships about 11 years ago. Don't want to make him feel old or anything. But yeah, he's been a part of the sport for many years, and this is a horse he thinks a lot of. It's a 10-year-old. Another one by Chaco Blue, the second or third Chaco Blue horse we've seen already. We've only had 6 horses come through. That stallion really is popular at the moment. As we said with the last Chaco Blue horse, that characteristic of being really clean in front. This is a horse he brought out as a 7-year-old. Actually jumped this year, last year as well, in fact. He's one of these riders that, you know, competes mainly in Mexico, but then pops up all of a sudden, and we saw him in Del Mar at their World Cup event towards the sort of autumn of last year. Can he just hold it together and guarantee a jump off though as we come down towards that final fence? Time not going to be an issue for him. Gets the clear, and we have a jump off. 75.22 is the time, and jump off is guaranteed. Keeping it in the family as well. Andre Torres Hernandez clear, and now of course Miguel goes clear as well. So 2 clears and a jump off is guaranteed. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but for any rider that jumps here in Mexico, the fans and, you know, the people that are coming down to watch are supportive of absolutely everyone. You can hear them cheering for everyone, no matter what country they're riding for. We are going to stay in Mexico though. Antonio Maurer comes forward next. First of a couple for him, this is Chuck Stara. What experience he has. He's been to the Olympics, he's been to the World Equestrian Games, the Pan American Games. This is a horse I like. And would you believe it? Another Chaco Blue. 11-year-old mare, Chuck Stara. We're 15th in the Grand Prix here last week. They've been together a couple of years now. I think, you know, they're really getting to know each other inside out. He certainly does a lot of travelling. He's one of the riders I see at Spruce Meadows during the summer. Got a couple of good top 6 finishes there with this horse. And of course they're all 5-star events at Spruce Meadows. When you look at the string he's got at the moment with Galileo de Lowbury, Houston PP as well. He rides with his range just slightly longer than perhaps some would. Oh, had a little run out there. I think you could see that coming a few strides out. Gets balance, comes back round. Has that down as well, so sits on 8 at the moment. Time, of course, coming into an issue there. So it's going to be 8 jumping, couple of time faults to add in as well there for Antonio Maurer, 87.03. That's a real shame. Nice horse though, definitely one to look out for in the future. Staying on the 2 clears then. Simon Ziri ranks 3rd at the moment on that 1-time fault.
En la pista de México, Mario Oñate y Chacubet, número 8.
Now we head then to Mario Oñate, Shakubay. Bit of a family sport, of course. His brother Salvador very involved, also competing here. Mario's owned this horse since it was a 5-year-old, but Rodrigo Lambry was riding it for quite some time. Mario brought it out at Spruce Meadows last summer, had a top 10 finish there. And he's kept the ride since, Bruce, and it's produced some real good results. So first part of the triple combination comes down front bar off that ox there. Got Jilly BG now watching in London. Henner Hoschen in Hanover as well. Great to have you all with us here. Don't forget, if you are watching, if you want to ask any questions about Guadalajara, about the competition, or anything really, feel free to get involved with the conversation on Facebook, or just let us know where you're watching and what the weather's like, because we're really enjoying the sunshine and the sport here in Guadalajara. Fence number 9 just jumped one of the biggest uprights on course at 1.52 meters. Nice big open stride as he comes down towards the final fence, but perhaps just opens up slightly too much down that distance. It's going to be a total of 10 today. 8 jumping, 2 time, total of 10 for Mario, 83.72. Shaping up to be a real interesting one here. Got a couple of clears.
Antonio Maurer y Chaxara 2 terminaron con 8 en los obstáculos, más 3 por exceso de tiempo en 87.03.
Rodrigo Lambre then. Rodrigo, who rode the horse for a while that Mario just jumped. But today Rodrigo Lambre brings forward Coleman, the 12-year-old by Tangalo van de Zuthove. Actually, this is a horse that Mario Ignati owns. Of course, Rodrigo's produced some great horses over the years. His wife Caroline, so supportive as well. And they were on great form here last week. Jumped double clear to finish top 6. Ended last year with a trip to Valvanera, where the horse went very well too. So let's see how he can do today. Can he get himself through to that jump off against the clock? It's quite quietly down towards the second. Quite an interesting horse actually. A few riders have had this in the past. Cassio Rivietti had it probably for the longest, I would say, before Mario bought it. Of course, all the Tangelo horses tend to move really freely and have a nice temperament, and I think this is quite a good example of that. All good so far. Rodrigo had a great week here last week. Winner of the Grand Prix with Shapila. He won the Classic as well with Connecticut. He'll definitely be hoping that that run of success can continue here, especially looking ahead towards Saturday in the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier. Of course, Mexico's got 2 qualifiers, one here in Guadalajara this year, also in Leon, with a week in Palm Beach in between them for the Wellington qualifier. But that is a super horse, 73.61. Rodrigo Lambre there, going to be very happy with Coleman. And you know, they just kept that nice forward, relaxed rhythm all the way round. Amazing little horse, love it. Look at the scope.
0 puntos dentro del tiempo para Rodrigo Lambre y Coleman, y tienes el número 3 para el desempate.
Yeah, nice one to watch, wasn't it? So there we go, 3 clears then, 3 clears at this stage of play. 9 combinations gone so far. We've got Simon Naziri on that time fault, Alberto Sanchez Guizar sitting on 4, and then a 5, a 9, a 10 and an 11 fault round, taking us through that leaderboard as things stand.
En la pista, con el número 10 de México, Arturo Navarro y Cuestina.
Arturo Navarro comes forward next. Cuestina represents Mexico. He celebrated his 25th birthday just a little bit earlier this month. So one of the youngest athletes in the field today, in fact. Got a couple of horses jumping at this level now, but this is one that Edwina Tops-Alexander had jumped around Europe and the Middle East as well. So an exciting new one for him, actually. He's had it about a year now, and it's really starting to come together. Top 10 here last week, some wins in Lucia. I've never seen Edwina Tops Alexander ride a mad horse, so you know if she's been riding it a while, it's a good one. Forcing to work a little bit round the corner, just get nice and balanced coming into this one. And that one's in the shade as well, which can have a little bit of an effect on some horses. Horses have got diaphragmatic vision, so they've got like an extra island. They don't really see the same as we do. But what a super round, 72-71. Jumped nicely here last week and does it again here today. So we're going to see him come back. Then we'll get to see them go a little bit faster when we get to that jump off against the clock a bit later on. Nicely done there for Arturo Navarro. Gives us our fourth clear.
0 puntos dentro del tiempo para Arturo Navarro y Cuestina, y tienes el número 4 para el desempate.
So 4 clears we have at this stage here in round number 1. See our next one just making his way forward, about to get underway. It's Patricio Pasquale coming through the Longines archway. You can see the warm-up in the back there with all our FEI stewards and our athletes backstage. Pomerol, first of a couple here for Patricio Pasquale. And of course, the whole of Patricio's family is pretty much involved with the sport. We're going to see his brother Fran jump a little bit later, and his other brother Gerardo as well. He's involved with this competition. But let's see how Patricio's going to get on with this one. Did a nice Grand Prix win in Balvanara towards the end of last year. Patricio, very well horse. He's got Babel, of course, as well. It's the horse he took to the World Equestrian Games. He jumped this in the Grand Prix here last week and had a couple of unlucky rails, but it was one of their first competitions back, and I think this could just be one to keep an eye on, you know. Horse he jumped at Spruce Meadows last summer, jumped in the World Cup at Del Mar as well. And, you know, when Patricio first brought this horse out, it was a 7-year-old. He was jumping at 1.35 m, and you know, he's worked really carefully to produce it up the grades. You can see him there just using his upper body round the corner towards that skinny style, just steadying him in. Nicely through the 2-stride distance. Just using the space here just to open up as he comes round towards the treble bar. 1.90 m wide, this one. And it's set up in weight, down to the upright. That's 1.52 m, then a 150 high, 160 wide Oxer to finish, and that's the one that comes down. The final fence just touches that front rail coming in. Finishes on 4 here in round number 1. Patricio Pasquale and Pomerol, 72.84. Fastest of the 4 falters, so goes into 6th place at this stage. But what a nice horse, so much to like with that one. You know, that's going to be one that we will see in the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Guadalajara on Saturday, so keep an eye out for him. Lorenza O'Farrell standing by, about to get underway then, another representative of Mexico. She brings a 14-year-old gelding called Queen's Darling. It's by Kiram Zhrubin. And Lorenza's been around on the circuit for so many years. Been riding and winning from a young age. Took a little bit of time off to have a family, but definitely back out there and making her mark. And over the years, you know, we've seen her represent her country at World Equestrian Games. And I have to say, this horse came really consistent for her last year. I remember seeing them in Vancouver for the World Cup qualifier there. She finished 8th, but she was, you know, clear all the way around to the last, and then I think it was the last fence that went down for her. And on that day, it was only Uma O'Neill who actually jumped clear. We only had one clear in the first round. This is a horse that can answer the technical questions really well. She was the winner of the Mexican National Grand Prix Championship last year. This is a German-bred horse that she got from Jacobo Martinez. Come on, Lorenza. I'm just keeping a little eye on the time limit. It hasn't caused too many problems so far. .28 seconds to get home. Shouldn't cause her too many issues. Just got to keep thinking forward though. Is she going to make it? Well, she jumps the last, and yes, she will make it. 76.46 there. Nicely done from Lorenza O'Farrell. Queen's Darling gives us that 5th clear here in round number 1. Big Pat says it all. And again, you can hear everyone cheering. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, you know, everybody cheers for everybody here in Mexico. See that treble bar just changes the shape as they land, and then she used her upper body. She sat up through the distance into that upright. And in that line, I think our course designer, Guilherme Jorge, is actually asking the question at the upright rather than the treble bar, because although the treble bar looks quite scary at 1.90 m, and I would probably have to close my eyes, actually, as long as you get a nice rhythm, it's a very nice fence for the horse to jump. It puts them in a nice shape, but then you've got to sit up on the landing side and think about that delicate upright. Paolo Amalibia comes forward next. Giulietta, the name of the horse, the 9-year-old. Represents Spain. She moved to Belgium at the age of 18 and then married Federico Fernandez, who we'll see jumping a bit later, and relocated to Mexico. This is a horse she thinks a lot of. She's taken it to 2 Mediterranean Games. Jump double clear here last week with this one. Top 10 finish in Balvanera last November. You know, it's got all the results there that make you think this could possibly go through to the jump off. And if it does get there, it's quick against the clock. It's a horse she took to Dublin, the Dublin Horse Show. Finished 10th in the speed there, and that's always a quick one. We know those Irish riders like to go fast. And she finished 10th. Yes, super. Made it look quite easy actually, didn't she? 75.04, clear for Paolo Amalibia, representing Spain here. It's going to be a difficult one to call actually. We've got 6 clears and, you know, they're all quite quick against the clock. That one especially though. Keep an eye when she returns a little bit later on.
In the ring number 14, representing Ireland, Jordan Coyle aboard Bold Prince.
Well, I know Colin Thompson was watching on Facebook earlier and said good luck to Jordan Coyle. Well, Colin, it's time to bite your nails because here is Jordan Coyle and Bold Prince joining us next to go here in round number 1. Jordan splits his time between Ireland, Old Salem Farm in New York, and also in Florida. And as proof of that, the last time he was jumping in international competition was at a place called Cavan in Ireland on a horse called Chuckles. And I've got great memories of Cavan. Such a nice, friendly centre. Pauline and the family there. Stuart. Everyone's always made to feel so welcome. The hospitality and the parties are world renowned. And it's one of these places in Ireland, it almost feels like stepping back in time a little bit, and I'm not sure that's a bad thing these days. But Jordan's a great rider, and Could be genetic, you know, because his younger brother Daniel, who's based really in Canada these days, is also on flying form at the moment. Bull Prince is a 10-year-old. It's a horse Andy Coker bought last April. Andy jumped a little bit towards the end of last year, but now Jordan's got the ride, and he's having quite a good day actually, because he won the metre 35 competition a little bit earlier on this stage. Different horse, of course. It's having to work really hard around that turn just to find that nice rhythm he wants and make sure the horse is where he wanted it to be. Andy Coker's got a great eye for a horse, and Jordan's got a great eye for a stride. Got all the ingredients there. Come on, Jordan, wait. It's going to come down towards this final fence. Time's going to be okay. Yes, inside. 77.47 there. Jordan Coyle goes clear for Ireland. We'll see him back in that jump off against the clock a little bit later on.
Clear round just within the time for Jordan Coyle and
time to perfection there in round number 1.
Ireland in the jump
Sure, Andy will be watching on as well. He's probably down in Florida, or up in Florida, across in Florida, I've got no idea. 7 clears we have at this stage here in round number 1.
In the ring, we have Mexican rider Francisco Pasquel aboard Coronado.
Francisco Pascal comes forward next. Corando. He's got many hats on here this week, part of the organising committee, not only for this event, also for the GCT in Mexico. He's very well horsed at the moment, not just this one, but also in Aranjo, who helped Mexico secure a gold medal at the Central American Games last year. This is one I rather like. He was 6th in the Grand Prix last week, won another competition as well. I saw him do some great things at Spruce Meadows with this horse, and at Spruce the horse just really came into its own and started to just get better and better as the weeks continued. Fran was the National Grand Prix winner here in 2017. He's produced some great horses over the years. Thinking back, it was actually Rodrigo Pessoa that brought this horse out in 2015, but after that, Fran brought it. I think, you know, it was literally 2 or 3 months later. He saw it and thought so much of it, and thought he's got to have it. All good so far. Yes, super round. 76.15, Francisco Pascal, and Corando jumps clear for Mexico.
Clear round for Francisco Pasquel and Coronado.
We're going to add him to our list. That means we've got 8 clears at this stage.
Francisco Pasquel y Coronado terminan su recorrido con 0 puntos dentro del
Look at the amount
tiempo.
of scope he came in over that treble bar. And then really nice and clean and tidy over the upright as well.
Mexico, we welcome Salvador Oñate aboard Big Red.
Big Red is next. It's a 14-year-old gelding, this one. You can see Salvador Oñate sitting on board, representing the home nation here. Gerardo Pascual, Richard Spooner, Nicola Heinross have all ridden this horse in the past, but Salvador gets on with it really well. They had their first show back at 2019 just last week, and ended last year in style, though, 2nd in the Grand Prix at Balvanera towards the end of November. If you watched the Central America and Caribbean Games last year, you'll remember this horse. It was 5th individually and also part of the team that took gold. Must give you a great feeling in your hand, this horse, because he's kind of like, let me at them, let me at them. Ah. Perhaps we'll get to have another look at that one. A couple have had that down. I don't know if it's to do with the shadows or just the not getting quite the distance he'd hoped for. Sits on just 4 though as he comes round to the last and takes that final fence as well. So it will be 8 jumping faults recorded here in round 1 for Salvador Oñate in Big Red, 73.52.
Salvador Oñate en Big Red termina su recorrido con 8 puntos. Dentro del tiempo, su tiempo 73.52.
In this race we have
Yeah, just caught it behind. Igles Pizarro, Carquilo comes next. Mexico's certainly well represented here this afternoon. And it is another one of their athletes that we're seeing here. Nicholas, based in Mexico City. He's actually based at a facility his grandmother set up as a breeding farm, but he's kind of taken the reins there and does a lot of coaching and stuff as well. If you follow the sport, you may remember Nicholas Pizarro having a great horse called Crossing Jordan. And that's the one he took to the Olympics in 2012 in London, World Equestrian Games in Lexington, Kentucky as well. He's got a good eye for a horse. He's had this one since it was a 6-year-old actually. Jumped at Spruce Meadows last year. He took it over to Europe as well and to the Nations Cup event at Thunderbird last year where he was top 10 in the Grand Prix. Doing a good job. Fergal Coyle's also watching with Eleanor as well. Colin Thompson saying the broadband's a bit rubbish in Tyrone in Ireland. Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to keep peddling to keep that broadband going, because you'll have to wait and see what Jordan does when he comes back for the jump off. One of the 8 clears we've got here. Yeah, super job there from Nicholas Pizarro. Carquilo goes through 74.49. Tell you what, they're going to have to gallop when they get to that jump off. Loads of quick ones going through here.
A clear round for Mexican rider Nicolas Pizarro Suarez and Carquilot. Number 9 to the jump off.
9th clear. Clear round number 9 there.
Nicolás Pizarro y Carquilot terminan su recorrido con 0 puntos dentro del tiempo y tienes el número 9 al desempate.
See them to work hard down to that vertical after the treble bar. Remember, that's one of the biggest uprights on course at 1.52 m. And that final fence, you've got the Liverpool water tray underneath. It's 150 high and it's 160 wide. Well, it looks like our ring crew are going to do a little bit of work on the surface. Let's take a look at how things stand at this stage, though. Those clears at the moment. Andre Torres Hernandez, Miguel Torres Hernandez are in there, keeping it in the family. That was our first 2 clears. We've got Rodrigo Lambre, Achiro Navarro, Lorenzo O'Farrell, Paulo Amalibia, Jordan Coyle, Francisco Pascal, and Nicholas Pizarro. So 9 clears at the moment. We've got Mexico in there, we've got Ireland, we've got Spain, and we've got Brazil, and we've got 17 combinations left to come forward. It's not over yet. I know we're going to see another 4 or 5 clears at least, and when we get to the jump off, they're already, got some quick ones through. We've got some more quick ones still to qualify. And that's hospitality here. They do a great job of the hospitality. It's always quite full through the show. Some events you only see the hospitality full on one day, but here there's always people watching on. They're always so supportive, no matter what the nation is. Got some riders from the USA competing here this week as well. And actually there's going to be another leg of the World Cup qualifiers here in Mexico. We've got 2. We've got Leon to come as well in just a couple of weeks' time. We're off to Wellington next week for another leg. And then, of course, we go down to Ocala for an event called Live Oak. But things are getting really, really close on both the East Coast Sub-League and the West Coast Sub-League. Just a couple of points separating those athletes. So it's going to be an explosive end. And if you've missed any of the action from the previous Longines FEI Jumping World Cup legs, then, of course, you can catch up on FEI.tv, and that's the only place you'll be able to watch the World Cup here on Saturday. So if you haven't yet subscribed, then make sure you do that before we get to the big one on Saturday. But lots of exciting sports still to enjoy here this afternoon. Again, you can watch online on Facebook. If you're already on there, get involved with the conversation. Let me know what the weather's like where you are. It's a scorcher here. Let me know where you're watching as well, and of course any questions, or just say hello if you want. We're going to be getting back underway here in just a couple of minutes' time. Let's take a look at who's still to come. A couple of riders have got another horse to come. Francisco Pascual, he's going to have Naranjo coming forward. That's a super horse. Paula Amalibia's got a second one. Patricio Pascual, Rodrigo Rambre, Antonio Maura, Javier Fernandez. Some really nice horses still to feature. And another thing as well, if you are watching on Facebook, you'll see a button that says share. Feel free to click that, and you can share this on your wall, and of course everyone that you know who probably likes horses will be able to watch as well. So keep on sharing, keep on commentating. It's great to have you all watching with us here in Guadalajara. I'll just take literally a 2-minute break, and then we'll be right back with you as we get ready for the second half of round number 1.
We are ready to continue this Longines FEI World Cup qualifier.
Welcome back then as we get set to see the remainder of the field here in round number 1, and already 9 clears progressing forward to that jump off against the clock a little bit later on. Alberto Sanchez Cosar then gets us back underway. Balear Dilana Tria, 10-year-old mare by Air Jordan. And it's a horse he's been jumping for a couple of years now, but he's been producing it so carefully up through the grades. It was actually one that was bred here in Mexico. Let's see how he gets on. We've already got 9 quick ones through to that jump off against the clock. This one's quite quick across the ground as well. It's going really well with Union Dilana Tria, but it's good to see a relatively new or younger horse for him as well. Can't forget WAP, the horse he rode to a 4th individual finish and a team gold at the Pan Ams as well. Nicely through the combination. It's quite wide as he comes round towards the Soxer. And you can see him really preparing for that skinny style. Just gives it a little rub, it comes down. So sits on 4 at this stage here in round number 1. Gotta say as well, hello to Cheryl Milner, who's watching in Spain. Megan Baird's watching in Northern Ireland. Helen Brown as well, also in Ireland. Jad Dana's watching. I've just noticed my wife's watching as well, so I've got to be careful what I say. Not going too well for him today. Sits on 12 as he comes round towards the final fence. And just a couple of seconds over as well, 82.39. So total of 14 here for Alberto Sanchez Cozar and Valer Dilana Tria. So we'll remain on the 9 clears at this stage. You see, he just arrived a bit earlier than he wanted to that upright. An early rail on course. And he really tried to set up as he came down here, and again just arrived a bit early.
In the ring, riding through Mexico, Arturo Parada.
Staying in Mexico then. We go to Arturo Parada Vallejo. Vitok Kervak, the 10-year-old. This is a horse that was jumping in Europe till Arturo added it to his string towards the end of last year. It's actually a relatively new ride for him, but they've had some great finishes together. If you look back to November last year, top 10 in the Grand Prix in Balvanera. He's actually a bit lucky here, unlucky I should say, last week. But perhaps that's just prepared him for some good successes here this week. This 10-year-old stallion. Plenty of scope, plenty of jump. Here I'm just saying, whoa, as he comes through the triple combination. Really interesting markings. You can just see that white patch underneath. That big, nice, open stride. Time allowed won't be an issue for this combination. That patch as he comes round. Here's a question for you. Does that make it a coloured? I would say yes. Wait, wait, wait. Nice. Comes down towards the last. Plenty of time. Oh! Takes down the final fence. 73.68. You had bags of time in there. It just takes down that front rail. Bit of a heartbreak for him. A relatively new ride though. Picked it up towards the end of last year. I think it's a really exciting one when you look at just how much jump that horse has got. Real solid stallion looking neck as well, and gets slightly too deep and takes out the front rail. Not to be, goes down to 12th, second fastest of the 4 falters. Galileo de Laubry comes next. Look at just how relaxed this horse is. It's just wandering in on the buckle. Galileo de Laubry, Antonio Maurer from Mexico, his second ride here. And he's had this horse for a number of years. I mean, they know each other so well. Had some great results. He was one of the combinations that went to the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver, the Thunderbird. He was 11th there, 4th in a metre 60 Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows last summer. He's used this horse for Nation Cups appearances as well. Antonio just sitting nice and quiet round the corner. Horse has got quite a high head carriage, but this is the way this horse has just always gone. Antonio just kind of stays out his way and just takes the odd little check when he has to, but other than that, just sits nice and quiet. Doesn't interfere too much, unless he has to. Oh. That was always going to be one of the fences that a few of our athletes would have down. Such a skinny, delicate obstacle coming off the corner. Let's see what he's going to do. Yeah, I think he's going to give his signal to the jury and elect to retire. And I don't think that's a bad decision. You know, the horse is 13, as I mentioned. He's done it all. You know, he's done the World Cups. He's done Nations Cups. The horse doesn't need experience. Interestingly, though, to get forward into the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier, which runs here on Saturday, they do need to complete the first round of one of these competitions. So if he does have his set on that, then I think we will see him back in here tomorrow. But he knows he's out of contention today. He knows the horse doesn't need the experience, so he just decides to call it a day. 9 clears is what we sit on at this stage, though. Ali Ben Hoffman watching from Tunisia. Great to have you with us, Ali. Gloria Stauli making it look easy, she said. They all do. Caroline Leo watching as well. She's enjoying it. And her husband is involved, Rodrigo Lambre. He's clear. Got a nervous wait, Caroline. He'll be coming forward a little bit later. If you are watching online, do get involved with the conversation. Great to have you with us as Mauricio Ortega gets underway here with the rally. Whoa! Well, not the afternoon he was hoping for, but kneels up and gives a little salute to the judges to say, yeah, I'm okay. Just a bit dirty. But he's got a long walk because he looks like his horse is off back to the warm-up. Doesn't matter what size of ring you're in, that's always a long walk, isn't it? Looks like the horse is safely caught and everything okay there. So let's take a quick recap of how things are. We've only got 12 combinations left to see here in the first round. We've got 9 clear at this stage. Mexico, Ireland, Spain and Brazil all represented. There's the medic's just gone to check him out, but I think we can say he's all right. He's fine. He's tough. Well, as he walks out, we can see our next one getting ready to get underway. But first, we're getting to relive it, are we? Okay.
In the ring, we have Brazilian rider Rodrigo Lambre.
But we didn't get to see the fall. Well, we know Caroline Leo's watching, and she gets to watch her husband again. Rodrigo Lambre comes back, second ride for him, cat over. Jumped this little bit at Spruce Meadows last summer. Mario Agnati, the horse's owner, has been riding this recently. It's their first time out as a combination for 2019, but Mario rode it here last week. I've got to say nice things about Rodrigo now. I know his wife's watching. It's hard not to be honest. He's had some great horses over the years. He's already put in a great performance with that first ride, so we know he's coming back for the jump off. Be nice to see him take 2 through though. Whoa! Horse is feeling very good today. You can see Rodrigo just sat nice and quiet, didn't get phased at all by that. Just balanced it coming down towards a triple combination. That was a shame. Rodrigo rode really well there. I know perhaps on your screen it looks like he's got tons of room to sort out distances and rebalance, but actually these questions come at you so quickly, so when the horse does buck round the corner and Rodrigo's managed to sit nice and quiet and try to sort it out, but you can't over-interfere, because if you do that, you know, it really throws things off. Couple down here though, and not in contention, so it becomes a little bit of a schooling round now. Yeah, and we'll finish with 8 jumping, 1 for time as well. Total of 9 there, Rodrigo Lambre, cat over 80.38, but it's not game over for Rodrigo. We'll see him back a little bit later on with the other horse. He's already jumped clear, Coleman, the 12-year-old gelding, so he'll be back a little bit later. And you can see him just really using the upper body to make him sit back down the distance. It's quite difficult to control the horse's front end.
In the ring for Mexico, we have Jose Antonio Chedraui from aboard 8.
Jose Antonio Chedraui comes forward next. This is Aro from Mexico.
Tenemos en la pista con el número 23 de México a Jose Antonio Chedraui from.
He's born into the sport, of course. His dad rode to Olympic level. 5th in the Grand Prix here last week, so that's going to give you some confidence. This is an old rider, Cameron Hanley's actually. He was 8th in the Longines Grand Prix in Dublin last year and had some nice finishes at Aachen, some good World Cup finishes as well with the horse. Really exciting new horse for Jose Antonio Chedraui. Actually, when you think back, this horse has had some good riders on him over the years. David Quigley brought him out initially. Marlon Mondello Zanatelli had it for a while before Cameron got hold of it. And now with this Mexican great. It's by Tinker's Boy, probably the most successful Swiss show jumping horse. Clear so far. Couple of efforts left. And gets the clear. 76.19. Jose Antonio Chedraui jumps clear for Mexico. Brings us up to a nice round 10 now. 10 clears at this stage. 10 left to go. And it's a 43% success rate at the moment in round number 1. That's how things look. Certainly lots to like with that combination.
In the ring, riding for Mexico, Patricio Pasquel aboard Babe.
The World Equestrian Games. He jumped double clear in the Nations Cup in Dublin to help Mexico secure the gold medal last year. So wins at Spruce Meadows. And I have to say, this horse is a real testament to Patricio. He's produced it all the way up from being a youngster. What a tremendous job he's done. We saw Patricio a little bit earlier with that first ride of his and just had an unlucky rail, so he sits on 4 with the first horse and now back with this one. If we can get this through, it'd certainly give the rest a run for their money, because this is quick against the clock. It can actually turn really tight as well. Getting out of the way. super round so far. Hold it together down to the last. Get up and jumps the last as well. So he's through 71.90. Patricio Pascal. Babel jumps clear here in round number 1. And of course, in the first round, as long as you just make the time allowed, the time's not too important, but just out of interest, he's actually the fastest of the 11 clears. The horse has got a big stride, it really covers the ground. And of course, when we get to the jump off, that does become important. Is that an indication? We'll find out.
In the ring we have from
Here's Juan Manuel Lizardo for Uruguay, horse called Stan. Another quick horse, you know this one. It's a 13-year-old by Staccato. He's had it a while, this horse. He took it to the Pan American Games back in 2015 when they were in Toronto. Let's see what he can do here today. Telo Biradole is watching from Italy. Sure I didn't pronounce your name right there. There's the Valtiter watching in New York. Oh, and just the first coming down there for Juan Manuel Lizardo. Harmony Wilson also watching on Facebook Live in Vermont, in the USA, or Vermont. And if you're watching, let us know where from, let us know what the weather's like, because it's so sunny here. And if you've got any questions as well. A bit of a long way home for him, but you know, if he wants to be jumping here in the Longines FEI jumping World Cup qualifier, you need to complete one of the first rounds. So although that first fence coming down does put him out of contention, perhaps that's now what he's got in his mind. Rattle there, but it stays. Comes down though, so comes down to the last, sits on 8. And will finish on the 8 here. Juan Manuel Lizardo for Uruguay with Stan 76.20. It's 8 jumping faults here in round number 1. Getting down to the final 8 to see here in the first round. Then we have that jump off to come, and already 11 going through. We know it's going to have to be quick, which means it will be quite exciting.
In the ring, representing Spain, we have Paula
Natalie Annie watching from Norway. I bet it's freezing in Norway. Here's Paolo Amalibia though. She comes back with a second ride, one called VIP. This finished 7th in the Grand Prix here last week. It's by Berlin, 10-year-olds. Just making our final preparations there. Off and running. It's also just slightly unsettled with its head as it comes in. And Paolo has to really work through the distances just to keep him short enough so that he arrives in a good stride. Samuel Hohepa's watching from New Zealand. Megan Baird said, have you ever heard of a Belgian warm-blood stallion called Baltimore? The only one I can remember is one of Daniel Klutz. That's Baltimore C. I'm not sure if that's the one you're talking about. It's quite a nice stallion if it is. I have to say, Paola does a great job with this horse just to settle it down and keep it in that workable rhythm. That was a late follow. That did come down that upright. That's a real shame there. Finishes on 4, Paola Amalibia, and VIP 70.13. We know Paola's already clear with the first horse, but with VIP, comes all the way around to the penultimate fence. It comes down, and she will have to make do with 4 faults here in round number 1. And we could see just how hard she worked down the distance from the triple bar into that upright.
In the ring, riding for Mexico, Manuel Dufrane aboard Hortensia van der Luber.
You can take a look here. See, the horse just lands a little bit long, kind of wiggles down that line, and you could just see her using the upper body to try and bring him back. Manuel Gonzalez comes next. Again, one of the younger riders in the competition here today. This is Hortensia van der Luber. This 12-year-old mare by Carland. They were 5th in the National Mexico Grand Prix last year. Had a good 3-star win in Jalapa back in October. And if you've got a really good memory and you were watching the World Cup here last year, you remember they were 9th. Also individual gold and team silver, the Central American Games in Guatemala in 2017. So if you're a young rider, got some real nice experience. Pat Claffey's watching from Ireland. Helen Brown says, great riding, girl. I think you're right there, Helen. Paola does an amazing job with her horses. Back bar comes down off the oxer for the first time, I think, actually, as well. Finishes on 4 at this stage, Manuel Gonzalez. Andrea Brooks is watching from Richmond and says, I used to show my horse locally, but I'm too old now. You're never too old, Andrea. Never. Whoa, really just stands off at the last there, but finishes on 4, 74.80. Time-wise, not too bad. Sometimes in these competitions, if you have an early rail, you can then use the tactic of trying to be one of the fastest 4 falters. But with so many clears here, we've got 11 clears. And then we've got a time fault round from Simon Desiri in 12th. It's quite difficult to pick up any money in this unless you're clear today. But they are thinking about the World Cup qualifier here on Saturday. They know they've got to complete a round to get in there. So that's job done when it comes to that side of things. Few horses that, when you're watching them, you would like to take them home, and this one definitely falls into that category. Naranjo, Francisco Pascal now from Mexico. This is Fran's second ride. It's a real scopy Grand Prix type of a horse, this one. They were 3rd in the World Cup here last year. And to round off their 2018 campaign, finished 7th in the Grand Prix in Valvanera. Always quick, this horse. This is a horse he took to the Central American and Caribbean Games. Luis Philippe's watching from Colombia. Julia Happ in Berlin. Sofiane El Alif watching from Morocco. I know I probably didn't get your name right. Joe Mayer says, can I ask if your accent is Scottish borders? Almost. Edinburgh. Edinburgh originally. But now Cheshire in England. Well, there's so many show jumping competitions around the world. It doesn't really matter where you're from. You're never there. Yeah, job done there for Francisco Pascual. Naranjo, 71.75. Remember, when they come back as well, they're going to be coming back in the same order as they jump clear in the first round. So that means he's going to have a very good draw. That horse is quick. That will put the pressure on. It's going to be an exciting one. Make sure you stay with us. We've only got 5 left to go here in the first round.
Pista limpia dentro del tiempo para Francisco Pasquel y Naranjo, y tienes el número 12 al desempate.
Special, that horse, isn't it? Really nice.
Tenemos en la pista de México,
Here's Federico Fernandez, Davidoff. Herman van Treis said, has End Good All Good already been? No, it is not. Javier Fernandez is second last to go, so he'll be here in just a minute. Make sure you hang around. Claudia Regretti says, great Naranjo. Super horse, isn't it? Right, let's get on track here for Federico Fernandez. He's married to Paulo Amalibia, who we saw a little bit earlier. It has to be one of the most experienced athletes in the competition here. He's a 3-time Olympian, been to 7 World Equestrian Games, been to the World Cup finals, the Pan American Games. He was here last week actually with this horse. Jumped it in the Grand Prix. I think he only had 2 down or something. It was just really unlucky rails. So let's see how he's going to do today. Little rub there as he came out. Still up though. See him really shortening as he came in towards that skinny style, but then still had the power on the way out, and that's the big question down that line. It's all very well coming really steady, but you could see there as he landed, he still had enough energy, enough fuel in the tank to make the distance and also make it across the back bar of the Oxer. Oh, catches it behind. A couple have done that, haven't they? We'll finish on 4 here today. 74.49 is 4 for Federico Fernandez and Davidoff, representing Mexico. So just finishes on the 4, takes him down into 17th, so out of the money here today.
In the ring representing Mexico, we welcome Eduardo Sanchez Navarro aboard Sicanta.
Some really good ones still to come though in round number 1. We've only got a handful left. Staying on 12 clears at this stage. Eduardo Sanchez Navarro comes next. Sicanta had 1 down in the Grand Prix last week. Had some consistent top 10 finishes at the La Silla events last year. This one by Sir Shutterfly out of a Cantos mare. It's 11 years old in Oldenburg. They represent Mexico. He's had this one since it was a 5-year-old. I think it always means that a little bit more. I mean, winning's nice no matter what, but when you've produced the horse up the grades, always nice. Keeps it nice and straight. You see he felt he landed a bit short there, and you put his leg on down that distance just to make up the space. It's all very well walking the distances, but you know what makes these riders so great is their natural feel, and that's just about getting miles in the saddle. Being able to know when you land short or when you land long and what to do about it. It's all very well saying it's a 3-stride distance or a 5-stride distance, or it's been able to get there in that number of strides. Just fighting a little bit here down to the last. Oh, little knock, but he jumps it, it stays up, and it's 76.43, so safely through for Eduardo Sanchez Navarro, representing Mexico with Sicanta. Adds another one, so we're up to 13 in that jump off against the clock.
Number 13 to the jump off.
0 puntos dentro del tiempo para Eduardo
43% success rate, according to my fingers and toes, and the supercomputer.
In the ring, riding for Mexico,
Just 3 or 4 left to come here in round number 1. Arturo Parado Vallejo comes next, another representative for Mexico, 14-year-old called Cornet's Dream. This is a horse he rode to bronze individual and team silver, the Central American Games in 2017, 4th in the Grand Prix last week. He's actually very well travelled. You know, we see him a lot in Mexico, North America, went over to Europe, and with this horse, a top 10 finishes in Bonheiden, Shanti, and Oplabik as well, all last year. A few of you may remember Yuri Mansour with this one, an old ride of his. Oh! You can see him getting a bit close, and he put his leg on to try and get the horse to climb up and get out of that mess, but just catches that rail. I think he might just going to be calling it a day. Yep, gives his signal there to the ground jury and elects to retire. And that's a top tip as well. If you are going to retire, it's so important to signal to the ground jury, because actually if you just wander out, they can eliminate you because all you've done is leave the ring. You've not retired. So if you ever do want to retire, remember to signal to the jury. Little top tip there for you. Right, plenty of good ones already through. And I think we're going to see 1 or 2 more. Could Javier Fernandez go through? End good, all good. Second last to go. Jumping this horse a few years now. Had wins at Balvanara and Lucia last year. Had 2 down in the Grand Prix here last week, but you know, it's early on for a lot of these horses. It's their first time back out at a competition after a little break over the festive period. Horse has certainly got plenty in the tank. Just needs to get straight into there. Got away with it. And chases through the distance to try and make up. Yeah, nicely done. 74.05. Super job there, Javier Fernandez. End good, all good. Goes through to that jump off against the clock. Herman van Trijs was watching on Facebook Live, waiting for that horse. So hopefully he's managed to see his horse that he was waiting for jump clear. And now you'll have to stay with us because it's through to the jump off. 1 combination left to go here in the first round.
In the ring, the last rider, riding from Mexico, Gerardo Pasquel aboard Galvano.
Gerardo Pasquel, last to go here. Galvano van der Laspe. Of course, I've already seen his 2 brothers, Francisco and Patricio, jump clear. Can we make it the hat trick? This is a new one for him. He added to its string towards the end of last year. Jumped not too badly here last week though, and already placed at San Miguel. And Herman van Schrijs has actually just let us know that he sold that horse when it was a 6-year-old. So great that you're able to follow it. Let's hope it does well in that jump off. Oh, catches the back bar over the oxer. And you can see him just coming a little bit long into the stile. Doesn't take much to knock those down. But this is a fairly new combination together. Still getting that mileage as a partnership. And jumps the last. So it's 78-0, just over the time allowed. Going to be a total of 13 here today for Gerardo Pascal, and Galvano finishes on 13 here in round number 1.
Gerardo Pascal y Galvano van de Blaspu termina con 12 en los obstáculos, uno por exceso de tiempo, su tiempo 78.
So that means we do have 14 combinations jumping clear. 33 in total starting in round number 1. And some really quick ones. And again, don't forget, they come back in the same order as they jump clear in the first round. We've got some good quick ones, you know, Francisco and Patricio Pascal, the two brothers that jump clear in the first round, come near the end. Javier Fernandez is coming back in pole position. Jordan Coyle's about halfway through the pack. Paulo Amalibia, Lorenzo O'Farrell, Rodrigo Lambre. And for those that are coming early, it's their opportunity to try and add on as much pressure as they possibly can. So we can already see our course designing team are underway, getting us ready for that jump off against the clock. We'll take a look at the course, at the questions that they're going to be faced with in just a couple of minutes' time. On screen, though, you can see the results as things stand, with all those clears coming back to fight it out for the money here in that jump off against the clock. I'm Adam Cromerty. I do hope you're enjoying watching online here. As we get ready for the jump off, we take a short break and we'll be right back in a couple of minutes' time.
Recuerdo que el 14 es un vertical.
Welcome back. If you have just joined us, then you've come at a really good time because we're getting set for an exciting jump off. I'm Adam Cromersey, and we've got 14 combinations going through to fight it out against the clock. And of course, they come back in the same order as they jump clear in the first round. So we're going to have the Torres Hernandez brothers getting us underway. Rodrigo Lambre will be coming forward. We've got Lorenzo Farrell in there, Paolo Amalibia, Jordan Coyle coming about halfway through, Francisco Pascual, Nicolas Pizarro, Patricio, and Francisco Pascal. We've got Javier Fernandez coming last. So, you can see there's some real quick horses spread out throughout our jump-off competition. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, hit that share button. Let everyone else know that we're getting set for a rather exciting jump-off here in Guadalajara. The stage is set. We're ready to go. And Guilherme Jorge, our course designer, has done a tremendous job. Wait till you see this jump-off course. Plenty of twists, plenty of turns, and areas where you can really move the horses on to try and secure a good finish. Let's see what happens then. We'll take a look at the course in a little bit of detail as our first one comes on course. Andres Torres Hernandez Shabecan gets us underway to represent Mexico.
Ya tenemos en la pista al primer participante de este desempate de México, Andrés Torres Hernández y Chabacón.
Mary Thorburn watching in New Zealand asks what the temperature is. It is a sunny 26 degrees Celsius. It's a scorcher. And things really hotting up here. See what I did there? Right, let's get our first one on course. So this time we're starting over at fence number 9, North American League upright. Then from here, round to the big powerful treble bar. Then we're coming round towards what was a skinny in the first round, fence number 6, but our riders will be pleased to find it's actually got normal size rails on now, so it's not a skinny anymore. Landing over 6, and this is a nice turn. This is a rollback as they come round towards the Audi Oxer at fence number 3. As tight as you dare. Look at that cut over there. Coming down then to 4A and 4B. First two parts of the triple combination from round 1. Oxer in, one stride, upright out. And then again, another great rollback turn. Nice and tight through here as well for him. And then you can hear the crowd saying, come on, as he pushes down towards this final fence on the long sides. And we are going to start with a clear, 46-22, clear for our first to go. The standard is set already. The pressure's added on. The rest know they're going to have to get even tighter and go even faster. But what a great start for that combination. Andre Torres Hernandez, Shabecan for Mexico, sets that standard, 46-22.
In the ring, we have Mexican rider Miguel Torres Hernandez aboard.
Miguel Torres Hernandez, Shakandera comes next, again representing Mexico. And although he'll have been warming up, he'll have had a spy watching, he'll know the pressure's on, he'll know they've got to go quick. So come on then, let's see. Here we go, we're underway. And the first one comes down. That is frustrating in a jump off like this when you know that there's 14 combinations coming back to fight it out. Having a rail, it's a real bad day at the office. But the more pressure gets added on, the more chances and risks you have to take. So from here on in, it's just about trying to keep the rest up, trying to finish in a fairly good time. Rolling back into here. And coming down towards this final fence. Clears that Oxer, is just 4 faults and 51.66. Well, the times are just going to keep getting faster and faster.
Miguel Ángel Torres y Chacendra terminan su desempate con 4 puntos en un tiempo de 51.66.
Eddie Thorburn says good luck to Jordan.
Brazilian rider,
Sure Fargo's still watching as well. He comes about halfway through. Rodrigo Lambre then, getting ready. Always quick against the clock, this combination. This is the incredible Coleman. This is one that Marion Yassi owns. Finished top 6 here last week. .46.22, time to beat. Oh, twists through the air and just catches that back bar. Just puts in that circle to rebalance. Again, Rodrigo, a real thinker. You knew he was kind of out of contention after having that rail, so it's pointless to take the risk. He just puts that circle in, gets rebalanced, and then gives the horse a nice finish. Because it's early in the weekend. Won't be his day, though. In the end, it's a total of 15, 64.95. Rodrigo Lambre and Coleman for Brazil. Andre Torres Hernandez still leads for Mexico as they're only double clear at this stage, 46.22. Really good start here, and you can see just twists through the air with the front feet and then catches it with the back.
Riding for Mexico, Arturo Navarro, aboard Questina.
Arturo Navarro, Questina next to go for Mexico. One of the younger riders in the field celebrated his 25th birthday earlier in the month. Got a couple of horses at this level now. He's had this horse for about a year. He's had some good wins at Lucia. Remember, this is an old one of Vidwina Tops Alexander. And it looked quick in the first round. Let's see what they can do. 46.22 is that time to beat. If you can hear, but all the riders are whistling, and that's a signal to say, come on, get a move on, in the nicest possible way. Looks forward. Using his voice coming across the Oxer. 46.22 to beat. He's going to have to really move on down towards this final fence. Jumps the last, and this looks quick. 43.96. The lead changes. Arturo Navarro goes to the top. It's a 1-2-3 for Mexico at this stage. And a little bit more pressure is added on for our remaining combination still to come here in this jump off against the clock. 43.96. Is it fast enough? Well, you know, we've got some real quick ones, some real experienced combinations still to feature. I don't think you can sit there too comfortably, but what a nice round and a good time. 43.96, new time to beat. Let's get Lorenza underway then. Lorenza O'Farrell and Queen's Darling, again for the home nation. Arturo Navarro now leads, and I can tell you, as Arturo jumped over the Audi Oxer at fence number 3, he was out of there in about 26.5 seconds. So that'll give us an idea when they get to that stage of just how they're looking on the clock. Well, Lorenzo's got tons of experience. She was the National Grand Prix champion last year. She's done it all, you know, right up to the World Equestrian Games. This horse jumped really well in the World Cup in Vancouver. Just had the last down. The real testing course that day. I'm going to be out of here in 26.5. Just got about a second to find somewhere. For some of them, though, they will be thinking about the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier on Saturday. They won't want to overcook them before that, but she's still opening up down towards this final fence. Not really quite quick enough today, but what a super double clear there for Lorenza O'Farrell and Queen's Darling. 48.10 takes her into third place at this stage, goes into third at the moment. Steadiest of the three double clears. But again, a lot of jumping still to be done as the days continue here in Guadalajara. So 26.5 as they land out of the Audi, still a challenge. 43.96 overall. And Turo Navarro leads the way. Andre Torres Hernandez second, and Lorenzo Farrell in third. So that's our top three at this stage. Paolo Amalibia standing by, represents Spain with Julieta. This is the horse that she took to the Dublin Speed Competition last year, finished top 10, and that's always quick because those Irish riders love to gallop. But she certainly held her own in Dublin. She finished 10th there. We know the horse is quick, but what can they do in this one? Natalie Annie's asking how big the fences are. It's a $1.50 competition, that they could get up to about $1.60 in the jump off. So these are big fences. They're turning tight to them, you know. You could see there she was straight for only a stride and a half, and perhaps just wasn't quite straight enough actually. So sits on the 4. Time-wise, she is in touch. This is quick enough. There, Piat Fisher says looks about 1.5 metres. Yeah, you're actually quite right. I'm impressed, Heather. Paola Amalibia, though, still sitting on the 4 as she comes down to the last, and maybe just steadies down through the second half of the course. Finishes in 46.60. 4 faults there for Paolo Amalibia. Takes her down into 4th place. Fastest of the 2 4-fault rounds that we've seen so far.
Paola Amalibia y Julieta de España terminan con 4 puntos en un tiempo de 46.60.
No change to the top 3. Mexico still first, second and third.
En la pista con el número 7 del desempate de Irlanda, Jordan Cole y Bold Prince.
Jordan Coyle then for Ireland. Bold Prince comes next. He's had quite a good day. He won the $1.35 competition on a different horse earlier on. This is the horse that Andy Coker bought and brought out last April. Jumped a bit last season. Now Jordan's jumping it. Let's see how he gets on. And remember, all these riders will have different tactics today. Some will really be in it to win it. Some will be in for a good finish, but also keeping the World Cup in the back of their mind as well. And for others, they might just be at a different stage with the horses and, you know, schooling them to be able to jump them off and to be able to turn and keep moving. 26.5 is where we want to be as we land, and he's about neck and neck actually. Just got to keep moving forward now though. Oh, little Rob gets away with it. Come on. See how tight you can get in here. That was tidy. See, the Mexicans are all shouting, come on, come on, come on. Oh, it's going to be close, but not quite quick enough. 46.01. Arturo Navarro really galloped down towards that final fence. Into second today for Jordan Coyle. Got some nice tidy turns with that horse though, and goes to second. Nice and scopy, nice and careful. I think I mentioned it earlier as well, it doesn't matter what nation you're from, people here in Mexico will get right behind you. You know, they're so supportive. Francisco Pascual next. Corando for Mexico. This is one Rodrigo Pessoa brought out in 2015, and Brown bought it a few months after that. Jumped it at Spruce Meadows last summer. Pressure's really been added on from the front of the pack. 43.96, still a challenge. So he's just keeping that forward momentum all the way around. 26.5 as he lands out here. He is faster, but he takes the back rail. A couple have landed a bit faster and then still not made up the time. This final line, he's given them a real run to the last. And he's going to finish on 46.75. Francisco Pascal, Corando for Mexico.
For Mexican rider Francisco Pascal and Coronado.
So that's going to take him down into 6th place at this stage. Arturo Navarro leads, Jordan Coyle second, Andre Torres Hernandez sitting in third. That's our 1, 2, 3. Mexico leads, Ireland second, Mexico in third.
En la pista con el número 9 de México, Nicolás Pizarro y Carquilot.
There's Nicolas Pizarro coming forward next. Based in Mexico City. He's had this horse since it was a 6-year-old. It's now 10. Jumped it in Europe last year. Top 10 in the Grand Prix, the Nations Cup event in Thunderbirds in Vancouver. We'll have plenty of support here. Horse covers the ground nicely. Let's see what he's going to land out here in. Oh, maybe about half a second slower. Oh. Got to roll back now. As he lands over this upright, he's really going to have to open this up. He's going to have to go. Come on. Big open canter down to that final fence. Not going to be quite quick enough, but a good try. 45.96 goes to 2nd place. Nicolas Pizarro, Carquillo into 2nd at the moment. Pushes Ireland's Jordan Coyle down into 3rd. Arturo Navarro is going to be biting his nails somewhere. He came in early on. We've only got about 5 or 6 left to go in this jump off, and he is still sitting comfortably at the top of our leaderboard. But perhaps not sitting too comfortably, because this is another really quick horse.
Jump off. Riding for Mexico, Patricio Pascal, aboard Babel.
Babel comes next. Patricio Pascual. He puts his hand up to pause the countdown, but the bell's not rung yet.
En la pista de México, Patricio Pascal montando a Babel, número 11 del desempate.
You think of what this combination have done over the years. Definitely in with a shot. The horse he took to the World Equestrian Games. Jumped double clear at the Nations Cup at Dublin to help Mexico secure a gold medal. And of course, what a testament to the horseman that Patricio is, because he has produced this all the way up the grades. It's a horse he thinks such a lot of. And it's one at pretty much every age. Get straight. Yeah, he's up. This is quick. This is a real contender here. Oh. Ah. Front bar comes off that oxer. Upright comes down as well. And look at the time. He had the time, 41.48. 2 rails down. Will finish on 8. Babel and Patricio Pascual from Mexico.
8 puntos en un tiempo de 41.48 para Patricio Pascal y Babel de México.
What a heartbreak for him. Well, when you think the man who celebrated his 25th birthday just earlier this month has managed to really add the pressure on, so much so that, you know, riders that have been representing their country for years and years are having to pull out all the stops, and because of that, perhaps having the odd rail. There's how things look at this stage. Arturo Navarro leads, Nicolas Pizarro second, Jordan Coyle in third, and Andre Torres Hernandez sitting in fourth. That's how things look at this stage. And you know, people say coming in early in a jump off is really difficult, but Arturo played that card so well today and added as much pressure on as he could, and it makes everyone else, you know, just take that little extra risk. And I think that's what we've seen unfold as things are progressing here. It is not over though. You know, Francisco Pascual still to feature, Eduardo Sanchez Navarro and Javier Fernandez, all left to come. Has Arturo Navarro done enough? I wonder what he's doing right now. Is he sitting staring at the ring, watching their every move, or is he hiding somewhere, just waiting to hear what the result will be? Don't know. 43.96 is what he's laid down though. Nicolas Pizarro, who sits second, is on 45.96, so exactly 2 seconds slower. And then Jordan Coyle just a few hundredths of a second behind that on 46.01 and in third place. So he does have a 2 second margin, and you know, in the world of show jumping, 2 seconds is a lifetime. I haven't heard anything from backstage, but I'm imagining either a piece of tack might have broken or a horse has lost a shoe. That's the normal reasons for these little short delays, but we will be back underway. Make sure you do stay with us. Heather Fisher says, is this the jump off? It really is. Colin Thompson says, hope the jump off is technical, as it's very unusual to have so many finishing in the first round. I think you're right there, Colin. Normally, you know, the sort of top level in a competition like this, we'd see maybe, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 8, maybe 10 clears. But we've had a few extra here today. But, you know, this is really the day number 1 for these metre 50 horses. And we are really early on in the year. You know, we had the Christmas break, and for some of the horses, it's only their first week back. And Guilherme Jorge is a real master. You know, he built the Olympics in Rio. He's built World Cups all over the place. And I think he's actually been really kind to them. By, you know, not making it easy by any accounts, because when you think of, you know, the triple combination came as fence 4, we had a big triple bar coming down to a delicate upright, we had a skinny in there, so we had all the ingredients. But I think, you know, things will get a little bit harder as the weekend progresses. I have to say, everyone that jumped to clear really deserved it in the first round. But 14 clears made it through. We are in the jump off, and we have just 3 combinations left to go. Hope you enjoyed the competition so far. I'm Adam Cromarty. If you have just joined us, plenty of you getting involved with the conversation, which is always great to see. It's one of the real benefits, I think, of live streaming in our sport around the world, that you can get involved with the conversation, which is always nice. See hospitality there. People of all ages coming out to enjoy the competition. And we're back underway. Here we go. Naranjo, Francisco Pascual comes forward. One of the 3 that remain here in round number 1. The jump off even, sorry.
Mexican rider Francisco Pascual with his second horse in the jump off, Naranjo.
That's all that talk about round number 1. This is a real Scopy Grand Prix horse. He was 3rd in the World Cup here last year. Let's see what he can do. We know he can turn. We know he can cover the ground. I think the hold-up, actually, just looking at the order, was Francisco had 2 rides in, so you'll have had to jump off and warm this one up. So that'll be what that little hold-up was. But this is going to be worth waiting for. I love this horse. Super quick. This is a real contender. Let's have a look as he lands over the Audi. Remember, 26.5 is what Arturo was sitting on as he landed here. He lands in about 24 seconds. So if he just keeps this pace and leaves the fences up, he is going to get a good piece of the action here. Come on, one fence to go. And everyone's saying, come on, they're all whistling, they're all cheering as he comes down towards the last. He clears it. Oh, in 44.41. That is a shock as he heads down into second. I think it's a shock for him, it's a shock for the crowds. I don't know what Arturo managed to do. I think it was the turn as well, coming back to the upright and then really opening up down towards the last. I mean, it's not miles away, but you know, 0.4 of a second faster. Where did Arturo Navarro find that time? Super round though, wasn't it? Into second. Nicolas Pizarro goes to third. Jordan Coyle down into fourth. Is it going to go right to the wire? Eduardo Sanchez Navarro now, Sicanta. And they just had one down in the Grand Prix last week. He's had this horse since it was a 5-year-old. It's now 11. Let's see. Tom Riley says, this is awesome. It is awesome. He's going to be building up speed as he comes round here. Letting the handbrake off. That's a fence you've really got to respect. That single upright sitting on its own right next to the gate. I think a decision you've got to make as a rider as well, because Arturo has added so much pressure on. Do you have the horse that can take that on safely and not knock a fence down? Or do you just go for a nice forward double clear and pick up some prize money? Well, the crowd's saying, none of that nonsense, get moving. Oh, catches that back bar as he opens up the stride round the corner. Wouldn't have been quite fast enough. Finishes on 4 here today. Let's take a look at the time, 47.36. I think he might have cut that back bar actually on the final fence. So the score will be 8. 8 in total takes him down into 11th place. Into 11th. Remember, regardless of the number of starters in any international competition under FEI rules, there's always a minimum of 12 prizes. So he's guaranteed a slice of the action no matter what happens, because we've just got one left to go. Has Arturo Navarro done it? Will he be the one that takes the win right from the front of this 14-horse jump-off? What a story that would be. But can Javier Fernandez come in, know what needs to be done, and come out on top? Let's find out. This horse is called En Good All Good. Javier Fernandez, last to go, and represents Mexico. All comes down to this final round. Colin Thompson says the jump-off's about to start. It's not, Colin, this is the jump-off. Where have you been? This is last to go in the jump-off. 43.96, time to beat, last to go. No, it's not over, you know. Come on. Tidy through there. Oh, little rattle, it's still up, and he is not far away on the time. It's going to come down to leaving the fence. He's up, oh! And the back rail comes down off the oxer. But he's still moving forward. Let's see, would the time have been good enough? 43.96 was the time on the clock. He actually steadies down the final line and adds 1 or 2. And finishes in 46.16 on the 4. Javier Fernandez, and good, all good, and it really was all good in that jump off. Arturo Navarro came in, you know, right from the front. 43.96 was the challenge he set, and I think it came all down to the turn back towards that brown upright, and then he really let the handbrake off. He galloped all the way down towards that final fence and then said, come on, catch me if you can. And, you know, the rest just made some silly mistakes because he added so much pressure on. But what a great competition. And again, thank you so much for joining us, watching live on Facebook and various other places as well. But here's your full result. Arturo Navarro will be crowned our winner, 43.96. Just behind him, what a try. Francisco Pascual takes second, and Nicolas Pizarro in third. Congratulations there to all those athletes. Some great sport here this afternoon. And a quick reminder as well, we're going to be back live on the Facebook tomorrow, another world ranking competition out of Guadalajara. If you want to find out any of the details, keep an eye on the FEI Jumping Facebook page. And of course, looking ahead to Saturday, it will be the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Guadalajara. It is a World Cup qualifier. There's only a handful of those left this year. It's getting so close on the East and West Coast sub-leagues, and you want to make sure you are watching on FEI TV. So it's FEI TV on Saturday for the World Cup qualifier, but you can join us again live on Facebook tomorrow. I've been Adam Cromarty. We are going to leave you with the presentation. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. You've been great company, and we'll see you back here in Guadalajara tomorrow.
Seventh place for Javier Fernandez. Y el ganador de esta Longines FEI World Cup Qualifier de México, Arturo Navarro, que montó a Cuestina. Le vamos a pedir al público se ponga de pie para escuchar el himno nacional de México en honor al ganador Arturo Navarro. Y ahora el presidente de la Federación Ecuestre Mexicana, Juan Manuel Cosío, le entrega su premio al ganador de esta prueba, Arturo Navarro, montando a Cuestina. El director del AIRA Internacional de la Federación Ecuestre Mexicana, Rafael David, pasa a felicitar al ganador, Arturo Navarro. Invitamos al señor Diego Martínez Aregui, miembro del Consejo de Directores del Guadalajara Country Club, y al señor Miguel Madero Blasquez, miembro de la Comisión de Concursos Hípicos del Guadalajara Country Club, a felicitar a Arturo Navarro. Bien, pasa el presidente de la Federación, Juan Manuel Cosío, a felicitar al segundo lugar, Francisco Pasquel, la comitiva, Rafael David, los señores Diego Martínez Arregui y Miguel Madero Blasquez. La comitiva pasa a felicitar al tercer lugar, al mexicano Nicolás Pizarro Suárez, que montó a Carquilot. Al cuarto lugar de Irlanda, Jordan Coyle con Bold Prince. Al quinto lugar, Andrés Torres Hernández y Chabacano. Sexto lugar, Lorenza O'Farrell y Queen Starling. Felicitan al séptimo lugar, Javier Fernández y en Good All Good. Y al octavo lugar de España, Paola Milivia y Julieta. Y bien, le vamos a pedir a nuestro ganador, al mexicano Arturo Navarro, encabece la vuelta de la victoria. Le agradecemos al presidente de la Federación Ecuestre Mexicana, Juan Manuel Cosío, al director del área internacional, Rafael David, al señor Diego Martínez Arregui, miembro del Consejo de Directores del Guadalajara Country Club, al señor Miguel Madero Blasquez, miembro de la Comisión de Concurso Cívico del Guadalajara Country Club, el que nos hayan hecho el honor de premiar esta prueba. Felicidades, jinetes. Arturo, vámonos. Y bien, le vamos a pedir a Arturo Navarro una vuelta tú solo para recibir el aplauso del público por tu triunfo aquí en el Guadalajara Country Club. Arturo Navarro, ganador de esta Longines FEI World Cup Qualifier.